Hello, Janice.
Hello, Anthony.
We got another Bitcoin one.
All
my,
right.
my most interesting topic to me, at least these days. Today, we're going to talk about how to administer a Bitcoin trust. So in episode 206, we talked about how to set up a revocable trust for Bitcoin. And this time, we're going to talk about the other end of the spectrum, how to manage a Bitcoin trust. So this is for the trustees or for the attorneys who are advising the trustees, or maybe even the heirs or the beneficiaries of a trust, so that they understand how all this works. All right.
Okay.
All right. So let's start off by talking about how to transfer Bitcoin to the trustee. And what I mean by that is either when you're setting up the trust, or let's say or when when you die, how does control of the trust transfer to the trustee who now manages it on your behalf or on behalf of the trust? So again, as we discussed in episode, I think it was 206, there's a couple ways to do this. You can do the shards. You can use technology like multi-sig. You can use a dead man switch. Janice, do you want to quickly review those together, or do you think that's worth going over?
Yep. Real quick, the dead man switch it's a mechanism to which if you don't do something every so often at a scheduled pace, then it'll notify someone else, such as your lawyer, that you might have passed away, then providing them with a piece of the puzzle, right? Shards, same concept, where you have it like an A or a B, where the lawyer has the first couple of parts, right?
Sure.
And
keep
somebody
going.
else. I'm like, and somebody. This is totally layman's terms, by the way, because I am, learning with you. And then B is where another person has a part of it. Then they come together and they have the whole puzzle piece. And that cracks me up. I think of it as a movie, right? They're sitting in like a room and they have these puzzles and they go together and the light comes out anyway. And then you've got your technology, which does the same type of thing, but you're using. Explain the technology part. They're holding in different parts, correct? And they give to different people to put it together. It's
Absolutely. It's essentially the same concept as sharding. So just to roll back a little bit, most Bitcoin holders, if you're holding your keys, if you're holding your own private keys, you'll have a seed phrase. Let's use the example of a 24 words string of words, a string of 24 words that you need to sort of memorize or know in order to gain control over your Bitcoin. So, it's just not good security to just hand over all 24 words to your lawyer or anybody else. So one way of dealing with that issue is to give 12 of the first 12 words to your lawyer, and the other 12 words to somebody else who you trust, like your mom, your kid, whoever. And those two halves will only come together when both sides understand, oh, you've passed away. Now we need to do our thing and recombine the 12 and 12 so that the lawyer can now set up the trust and have control and move the Bitcoin from wherever it was into the trust. So multi-sig is just I have not used it yet. I would love to have a trial just to be able to tinker with it and be able to speak on it. If you're listening, folks at CASA, the company that does multi-sig, but it's like a technology way of accomplishing all that. Whereas the other version would be, I don't know, I have an envelope with part A and the other person has an envelope. So there's just a high tech version of doing all that, basically.
Yeah. I still like to think of, you guys sitting in a room with your monocles and you're looking at the numbers and putting them together. But anyway, it's fictional, but.
Yeah, no, like with two fragments of the tablet. Right. Yeah, right.
They're and then they go together just perfectly, the fit, and I don't know. Maybe I watch too many movies.
But whichever way we go about it, ultimately the goal is that your trustee, upon your death, will eventually have the complete phrase needed to access the Bitcoin and either control it where it is on behalf of the trust or to move it into a new wallet on behalf of the trust. So I think from an operational security point of view, it's a good idea to move it to a new wallet, just to, create your own sort of infrastructure and your own shards. But,
right.
That depends on your situation. Okay. So let's now talk about how to invest the trust assets. So what I mean by that is now we've moved the account, or moved the Bitcoin into the trust. What do you do now? I'm going to draw this back to the parallel with if we had a traditional bank or brokerage account. So upon the person's passing, we submit paperwork to the bank, which is really easy because it's all fleshed out and the procedure is is well documented, and the bank will either create a new brokerage account. The financial institution will either create a new brokerage account under the name of the trust, and we just kind of transfer everything over there, or I choose a different institution and they just transfer it. Anyway, we have a new account in the name of the trust. That sort of covers what we just talked about in terms of how to transfer the Bitcoin to the trustee. Now, how do we invest it? So if we have a trust for the benefit of, I don't know, let's say a minor child, somebody who's 8 years old, and we're supposed to keep it for them until they reach the age of 30. That's pretty common. Yeah, Janice?
Yes, definitely common.
So with a traditional brokerage trust account, we just invest it in equities or what have you, or prudently invest it. We talked about that last episode.
Yeah.
So it grows and it continues to just accumulate and compound for the benefit of that minor until they reach their age, until they reach, 30?
30, yep.
So with Bitcoin, now that you have control, and now that the trustee has control, what exactly is he supposed to do? It depends on what the client wanted. There might be a case where the client wants the trustee to liquidate the Bitcoin and convert it to cash or fiat, and then invest it normally, like I just described. Convert it to cash and then buy, S&P index or Apple or Amazon stock, whatever.
More traditional, yeah.
That, I think, is unlikely, only because most Bitcoin holders who would go to the trouble of setting up their Bitcoin estate plan, they're pretty into it.
Right. They want it to continue as Bitcoin.
So let's talk about that. What if they want to hold, or what if they want their heirs to continue to hold or hodl, I think there's the slang for that, Bitcoin on behalf of the heirs? So the problem is there's no such thing as a fiduciary exchange account. We talked about this last time. There's no way for a trustee to open an account at Coinbase or Binance or Kraken or Gemini. Those exchanges only allow actual individuals, not fiduciaries.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You also, we talked about this last time, you also have to make sure that you've made the trustee exempt from the prudent investor rule. Otherwise, they're not really allowed to hold largely speculative assets such as Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies in general. So now that we've laid that out, so your trustee, if he continues to hold, must manage his own hardware, paper, or digital wallet, because we can't do it on an exchange. And you probably have to maintain the same security and anti-loss measures as if it was his own. Because if the trustee dies with the keys or the seed phrases,
correct, then what?
What happens next? Right. So as a trustee, will probably have to do a sharding or a multi-sig with either a successor trustee, or maybe a backup attorney. I need to have something in place to avoid catastrophic loss. And I need to do it in a way that's sufficiently secure to avoid hacking loss. Yeah?
Yes, definitely.
So anyone who's thinking about doing this with an attorney who is not that familiar with these issues, that could be a challenge.
Yes. This is such a niche, right? A niche. This is definitely something you want to find someone with lots of experience and knowledge.
So how does a Bitcoin trust fund distribute to beneficiaries? Okay. So what I mean by that is, let's say I'm going to go back to the traditional example where I'm a trustee on a Vanguard brokerage account. And then what do? Let's say my accounts throw off some dividends. I just cut a check in that amount, or a wire, whatever you call it, to my beneficiaries. That's what a distribution is, right? Of the income, let's say. With crypto, it's so volatile. Number one, there's really no dividends. I mean, there's equivalents, but let's not get into that right now. Yeah. But it's so volatile, you probably don't want to be on the hook for making in-kind exchanges. This is from the perspective of the trustee, meaning I don't want to, sell a fraction of a Bitcoin to give my heir, $5,000, and the next day that same fraction is worth $20,000.
Right. Okay. Yep. That would not be good.
So just from even if I'm not I don't think I would be liable for that as the trustee, for that spread or that, that difference in price, but it's just not a good look. And it's just not going to be
not
good
at all
for the relationship between the trustee and the beneficiary.
No, considering if you would have waited a little bit.
So it really makes more sense, just from again, not necessarily legally, but this is like the real world perspective. It makes more sense for me to distribute the Bitcoin in kind, meaning instead of selling it and giving the cash to the heir, it makes more sense for me to just give the crypto to the heir.
Yep.
Right? So if this, I'm getting these numbers all wrong. I'm just using that. If this, 1,000th of a Bitcoin, instead of selling that at the risk of it shooting up in price the moment after I sell it, I'm just going to deliver that 1,000th of a Bitcoin to the heir, and he or she can do whatever she wants with it. And then the risk is on her.
Yep. That seems like that's a little bit less of a liability.
Sure. But the big problem with that is not everyone knows how to deal with, receive, or manage their own crypto. So yeah, I mean, I'm not sure what the answer for that is. If the client wants this trust to exist so that he has somebody who he knows how to deal, he's chosen somebody who knows how to deal with crypto, me as a experienced trustee who's very eager to learn more about this.
Yeah.
If the client's point of view is, hey, I chose you as my trustee so my heirs don't have to learn about it, that's an issue we need to figure out. Alternatively,
right, at some point.
Alternatively, he needs to make it, his priority to say, hey, you guys need to learn this, or maybe this is me just brainstorming. Maybe the trust is not allowed to distribute unless the heirs demonstrate a certain level of proficiency. I don't know.
Oh, that's a good idea. No, that's a good idea because I'm not as familiar with it. I've learned as we've been doing all these podcasts, and I think if someone, gifted or whatever as a beneficiary, I'd have a lot of homework to do.
Yeah.
Thankfully I have a grasp of the concept and the knowledge now, but a couple of weeks ago, I don't know.
And by to be clear, we both have a lot to learn, but at least a basic knowledge so that you don't catastrophically lose all your crypto, at least.
Right. I've learned so much, at least how to keep it from getting, lost
or scammed, or just
or
whatever.
Scammed. Yeah. Oh, very interesting. So down in the comments, there's a link that'll take you to getting a free copy of Anthony's book, The Solo Ager Estate Plan. Definitely something to look at if you are starting to plan for this. And again, with all these topics, let us know if you have some thoughts on this Bitcoin. And it's an interesting new topic. We're learning, and we can always learn more.
If anyone, so I know my book, The Solo Ager Estate Plan, is not exactly on point for this conversation, although I would love to work with solo agers who are into crypto. That is like my ideal client.
Yeah.
But if anyone's interested if they're familiar with my writing in my book series and they're interested in me writing on a Bitcoin estate plan.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not quite there yet, but I would be interested in working towards that. So if you're interested, let me know, and I will definitely put that on my to-do list.
Your to-do list. I like that. I think that'd be interesting to be able to read about that.
Cool. All right. Again, this is one of my favorite topics to talk about, so I hope you guys are enjoying listening to this. Thanks for attending or listening as always. Thank you, Janice, and we'll talk again next time.
Talk soon.
Bye now.